Hi guys, my name's Aamir Munshi. I'm a 18-year-old student who's come to Digiryte as a client as I've had a vision with a business model in terms of a career platform. And I feel like Digiryte's helped me a lot, especially coming from someone with no experience in the technical world. So I'd just like to ask a few questions and show the startups and early entrepreneurs what Digiryte's capable and what they do, especially what they did for myself. So so my first question to you guys, what makes Digiryte different from other tech partners when it comes to supporting early stage startups like myself?
Thank you, Amir. So one of the core specialty of Digiryte is we build a minimally viable product, which is actually a minimally viable product. What we mean that is we categorize any requirements into four pieces. We apply a method called Moscow method, where the four classifications are must have, should have, could have, and wouldn't have. So, and then we start building the application with must have, which is mission critical functions, will be shipped first. So the definition of MVP in our context is like building something and taking that to the market, getting some initial users, and measuring the data, and then eventually, building additional features based on the data, taking data. I won't say it's a data driven decision, where purely based on data, it's data informed decisions, which means we also look at other avenues like user desirability, tech feasibility, business viability, the market timing is right, team's capability, and risk and compliances, right? It depends. So we give more weightage to risk and compliances if particular product which we are building for our clients is from fintech and healthcare. So yeah.
Thank you. Also, I had another question. So, what role does strategy and validation play in your early meetings with startup clients, and how do you help the clients, like even myself, refine their business models, and how do you help them scale?
So we just not only limit ourselves with just technical aspects of writing a code or building a scalable, product. Of course, Karthik is ex Big Four. We have reputation of building highly technical quality code, quality products for our clients. But on top of that, we address four pillars, right? People, process, technology, and go-to-market strategy. So we help clients to focus on these four pillars, and technology is just an added value on top of the other three pillars, which means 70% is the business focus and 30% is just technical focus. That's how we validate any idea be successful. From the technical context, I think Karthik can throw more insights on how he's architecting and helping our clients. Yeah, Karthik.
Yeah, thanks, Ramesh. Yeah, that's a good question, Aamir. So actually, it's not a matter of a scale up or a startup or an enterprise. For any client, what Digiryte recommends, what I recommend is to choose secure by design architecture and also implementing AI in software development life cycle as well to ship the product faster uh, than the regular development time and effort, right? So if you implement AI in SDLC, we can ship the product faster, the development time reduces, and also securing by design. So it depends on each and every uh, product because it should align with the vision, it doesn't impact the vision, and also should not compromise in security. So it should be. So these are the main things we look in Digiryte.
Yeah, 100%. That's a very good response, and also I agree. Like even for myself, when you were saying how these markets change and the guidance you guys give is unmatched. For example, even in certain aspects, there's only ever an idea in my head for a startup for myself, and the many times where it was either Ramesh or yourself or Karthik who was actually advising me on the technical side with API keys and all. So touching on artificial intelligence as it's coming very big in recent years. So many startups like myself, they want to include AI. So how do you guys guide them into making that decisions and where is it useful?
So thanks, Amir. It's a very good question. So Karthik can dwell into more into the technical aspects of it, how he can use AWS services to deliver this. Azure as well, in fact. So I'll give you a general guideline, right? So based on the nature of the industry in which you want to deploy Gen AI and inject Gen AI stuff into any SaaS, software as a service product like yourself, right? So there are a few key considerations that most of the freelancers or contractors or some of the agencies is also missing. I'll give you a real example, right? Recently, we one of our clients' reference reached out to us, and they got stuck before launching the application. Okay, the reason they got stuck is it's a fintech product. So what happened is the Open AI and Mistral AI has been integrated in the backend. Just the prompt is running and manipulating and displaying some information. That's it, right? But what the regulatory body and the compliances, in order to mitigate certain risk and meet the compliances wanted in this application, generally every application need to meet it, but the fintech applications and healthcare applications are a bit more regulated. There are certain elements the particular application need to have. It applies generic to any domain, but specifically for fintech and health tech, it's quite mandatory and it's not directional, I would say, right? The first thing is implementing a guardrails, which means what are the policies and rules the AI need to follow. So, and the moment it goes out of that rules, how soon we are going to detect it, and what is the action we're going to take, if that goes wrong. That is first thing. And second thing is we have to implement a prompt library strategy where how we design the prompt and every prompt which is executed at the backend need to be versioned. And the third key important thing is the how we are avoiding the hallucination, reduction of hallucinations, which means from the retrieval level, grounding and verifications of the same. And fourth one we say as a evaluation harness. Uh, so we need to have a certain quality gates in order to evaluate the results of the prompt execution and how the large language models and AI process the information. Right. The fourth one and fifth one will be XAI, which is explainable AI. For example, if it's a health tech or fintech, we need to provide a certain reasoning of how these language models or AI predicted these results or printed these results and what kind of manipulation it has done. Even after avoiding all the hallucinations, right? That is the fifth element of it. And sixth element is, of course, right, human in loop, which means there is a guardrail, there is a prompt library, there is a hallucination reduction, there is a evaluation, harness, and there is explainable AI which need to be implemented. At Digiryte, we use some Python libraries called SHAP or Lime to do that. We still constantly doing R&D and evolving our strategies around it. And Karthik can discuss more on the implementation side, how he is using AWS services to implement this AI.
Oh, I also had another question in terms of me being a founder and only hearing all the technical side. And when people started mentioning about the cloud, so in terms of AWS, Microsoft Azure, or Google Cloud, how does Digiryte help startups ensure their cloud setup is scalable from day one without overspending? So, for example, I'm in the education industry. Many of your clients will be in the healthcare industry. How do you guys cater for them sort of industries when it comes to picking the right cloud and the right scalability for them?
Yeah, I can take that. Thanks, Amir. So basically, for any development from scratch, if the application is not at all built, right, they just have a vision, they just have some requirements. So at Digiryte, we are expertise in AWS. We would always recommend AWS until they have a tech stack, like they have a set of developers who work on .NET, a Microsoft-based tech stack developers. So in that case, we recommend Azure. Of course, we do Azure and GCP as well, but we are more expertise in AWS. So we will always recommend AWS. So if they're starting from scratch and they don't have any tech stack in mind and they don't have any scalability or region specific or those kind of things. So they don't have anything in mind, then we always recommend AWS from our end.
So in terms of how do you help founders, like even myself, when the cost, I was always thinking of cost. Costs are always number one thing when it comes to entrepreneurs and stuff. How do you help the founders control their cloud costs? Because obviously, as soon as people start to scale, their costs go up. So how does Digiryte help in this manner?
Yeah, so if you take AWS, now you have chosen AWS, for example, and then so there are a lot of options in AWS that they give the free tier eligible in AWS. So we have IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS in AWS, like infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So even in infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, we have free tier eligibility in AWS. So right now, for example, you have around 100 to 1,000 users just by choosing the right architecture in AWS. I would recommend platform as a service because it is scalable. Once the user grows, so 100, even if 100 grows to 1 million in a single day, the platform as a service can scale drastically. So you don't have to do any configuration changes in AWS. So we have to architect in a way that the platform as a service architecture in AWS can handle the load and also maintain the cost based on the number of users. For 100 users, it should be $1, and then 1,000 users, $10, and 10,000 users, $100. So it should grow along with the number of users. So this is how they can manage cost. And you always have this cost explorer. So lots and lots of tools available where you can analyze the cost, put a notification. So you'll get an alert to your email or mobile that the cost is going high. If it crosses this certain limit, so you'll get notified so that you can control the cost, right? And also you can see where the cost is spent a lot in the cost analyzer, right? Where the cost is spent a lot, how we can actually reduce the cost. So it gives a set of recommendations to follow to reduce the cost by also not compromising the scalability, performance, and security. So if you choose a right architecture, which will complement all the pillars, 6 pillars of AWS, including the cost, then that's a better way to go for any startups or scale up.
So in terms, I had a question on DevOps. So do you help startups with DevOps workflows like CI, CD pipelines, the automated deployments, or the infrastructure as a code?
Always, always. So, as I mentioned in Digiryte, we always recommend the secure by design, right? And also, whenever we're implementing any product, any project, whether it's a fintech product or a healthcare product or an aviation industry product, right? We always recommend to go for DevOps. So we always infrastructure as a code, right? We always code the complete infrastructure in case the whole environment is getting compromised, so we can create a new environment just within an hour of time, right? Completely new. So every infrastructure, for example, you have a server and also functions and also identity access management components, the network components, the database components, everything is coded. And also the same code is actually built using a DevOps pipeline. So which means the whole infrastructure is coded and you're also having DevOps pipeline to deploy those code and the uh, project.
Um, that's actually really interesting. So also I had another question in terms of the cloud management, like the cost management. So how can startups actually achieve enterprise level infrastructure reliability without an enterprise level budget? Like myself, I didn't have a large budget. So how do you guys help in that sense?
So, so basically, Aamir, most of the services which we use is pay-as-you-go services, right? It's a platform as a service. Whether it's Azure or Google Cloud or it's AWS, right? We use platform as a service. So we use something called the MACH architecture, MACH, microservices, cloud native, API first, and headless architecture. So while designing the services itself, Karthik and our team is highly focused on AWS well-architected frameworks where cost is also one of the key considerations. How to keep the cost very, very minimal. As the user scales, as the revenue scales, the cloud cost will also scale. There are a number of configurations and strategies which we can work around, the costings as well. And our key differentiation factor is like for any clients, we implement BCP and DR, which is business continuity planning and disaster recovery, while keeping the cost very, very less. So that's one of the key, proposition which we offer to any clients.
So like now moving on to in terms of like data privacy and stuff, how can startups protect their cloud environments from like the common cyber threats without hiring like a full security team? So in terms of like the cybersecurity attacks and things, how does Digiryte help in that manner?
So the Karthik can speak more about secure by design. Okay, so the principle. So instead of adding security as the end of the product development, right before going live, we use something called SSDLC, which is secure software development lifecycle. Okay, one key component is you know implementing and thinking about security before even writing a single line of code from the architecture level, right? Which our AWS team or cloud team has more experienced. One of the key proof for that is we are one of the top cloud computing providers, implementers in the UK market currently. And second thing about privacy, most of the founders what they miss out is the privacy by design, which means that start from the design stage, where the consent is need to be explicitly, uh, when we are getting the consent, from which IP address, which timeline they are giving consent. Are we giving the end user, the permission and certain feasibility to go and revoke the consent at any point of time, right? These all need to be start from the design stage, not at later point of time. And Karthik can give some more insights about it now. Yeah.
Yeah. On top of that, so we are also implementing so the application firewall. So I'm just saying a term in AWS. So similar way, we have all the cyber security tools, having the like Ramesh said, having the right permission for the right people, right? So that's a key thing. So we don't need to give all the permissions to everyone, right? We have to restrict the user permissions. There are different levels of security coming to cyber security, right? Where there are network layer security, there is application layer security, there is a data layer security. So we have tools in AWS. While designing the architecture itself, we'll have the security, cyber security getting addressed in each and every layer. And also by implementing the product before going live, we do a penetration testing, right? Vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. So a cybersecurity folks will do that to detect any vulnerability is there in the current application. So that will be an end-to-end testing. It will detect vulnerability in each and every layer, network, application, and data. So with that report, we'll mitigate the high and critical issues before we go to live. So once we do that, then yeah, it's more safe.
All right, yeah, 100%. Like cybersecurity is definitely becoming a major, major thing as everything, the world's moving towards a tech-oriented world. But I wanted to ask in terms of what advice would you give to a startup founder debating whether they want to actually design their application or their website alone? Like myself, I was thinking to do it on my own, learning everything. But then what would the difference be with working with a company like you guys at Digiryte?
There are multiple elements that play a critical role in terms of a product becoming a successful one.
So at Digiryte, we just not only deliver the product, we use secure by design, we use privacy by design, we use analytics by design.
It doesn't matter which sector the idea is coming from or going to address the pain points in the various sectors. The data subjects, data privacy is a very, very important aspect.
So our goal is, I would say ship it, right? Ship it at any cost, ship it, no matter what, ship it, right?